Hi there, folks. This is Stephen Hewer with Synergistic Nutrition. The thing that launched me into the field of nutrition was the result of 2 large mercury fillings being put into my teeth when I was 15 and a half. And I already had 7 previous fillings, so the fact that these 2 devastated my health, now, years later, I know why. In 1976, when the fillings were put in, the dental profession didn't want to have to increase the price of their fillings, and silver prices had gone up, so they removed silver from the amalgam and made them higher in copper. So they're called high copper amalgams. And we all know copper is very conductive, so copper being right next to mercury will conduct a charge between the 2 elements, and it released 50 times more mercury than the previous kind of fillings. So those 2 fillings were the equivalent of 100 fillings in my mouth in one day of the previous kind of fillings. That's why I got so sick. These things released so much mercury that I had a sore throat, I got constipation. This mercury went into my gut so heavily, and I took antibiotics for 20 days to kill off the infection, and those antibiotics killed my beneficial bacteria. The beneficial bacteria are there to protect me and grab onto the mercury coming into my gut so that it doesn't hit my gut and hurt my gut, but instead they were gone. So the mercury went into my gut and killed the nerves in my gut, a good percentage of them. So I went from being a totally normal person with regards to digestion and elimination to chronically constipated, very severely, from age 16 onwards. So I had a nightmare type of a life with not being able to eat very much, not being able to eliminate very much. For 4 years, I fasted. It was a semi-fasted type of a life for 4 years because I could hardly eat, and it was a vegetarian diet. So at the end of 4 years, I suffered adrenal exhaustion and knew my body would never be the same. It was kind of like 4 years of semi-starvation, which can do that to your adrenals. So I battled with this issue of chronic constipation for 24 years before I learned from Dietrich Klinghardt a method of detoxifying mercury out of the body. I had almost all the symptoms of mercury toxicity, and I'd done many things previously to detoxify. I did many fasts, probably about 12 7-day fasts over the course of several years. 7-day juice fasts, tasting herbs and bulking agents to clean the intestines out. So I did all the mechanical cleansing you could do, and yet the nerves still weren't healthy. They still were, the peristalsis still wasn't there, despite all this cleansing. I even took, amino acids and things that are designed to chelate this mercury out of the body. I went to practitioners who tested me on their devices and said that I didn't have mercury as a problem. The actual first chiropractor I saw tested me for 6 weeks and said at the end of 6 weeks I didn't have a mercury issue. He gave me homeopathic mercury detox. I went to other practitioners many years later, and they also said mercury wasn't an issue based on their testing on their devices. And so I became very disrespectful of these devices, some of these practitioners who take your money and give you totally wrong information. Spent hundreds of thousands, well over 100,000, 200,000 maybe, on my own journey to get well. And some of that was just going into doctors or practitioners' pockets and just a complete waste of money. Didn't help me one bit. So this journey took a long time to figure out. So I say that I am one of the country's foremost experts on mercury detoxification because I had to go through it. And I know from all my research and all my client experience and feedback that my program for detoxifying heavy metals out of the body is probably the best program you could follow.
Willie's from New York, and he's just shared with me the impressive results that his elderly parents have had since they've been on the One World Way. With your mother, she was experiencing being physically, mentally, emotionally unstable, had been, I guess, taking lithium, and her hair mineral analysis had showed high levels of lithium and toxic levels of mercury, arsenic, and lead, and those kind of mineral results in her hair had been seen repeatedly through 5 or 6 tests over the course of 2 years. So ever since she got on the way, she's had some improvement that I'd like you to describe. And you said she's also had her hair mineral analysis improved for the first time in 2 years. So share with us what that was.
Well, be honest with you, the lithium couldn't go any higher in the charts. And we had a lot of trouble finding something to bring it down into the allowable limits. The lead, the mercury, the arsenic showed up on the charts, which now they basically don't even show up on the charts. But the lithium was cut in half right away.
And so that was after 2 months on the whey protein.
Yeah, 2.5 months, yeah.
Okay.
I'm hoping this next time going through it, the lithium will be in an okay area, that they allowable limits.
Right. And then you also mentioned that your mother experienced some improvement in her mental, emotional, and physical stability, correct?
Yes.
All
definitely.
right. So basically, in 2 months, 2.5 months' time, your mother's mental, physical, emotional health improved, and her toxic levels of certain elements came down, and it was verified via hair testing.
Yes.
So what you need to understand is that, glutathione, as I've mentioned many times before, is the chemical that the body uses primarily to neutralize a toxin and remove it from the system. But, once you've been poisoned with mercury, your glutathione production is going to be knocked down because it's damaged so many cells that you're just not going to produce it. Plus, you've got chronic inflammation in the intestines potentially from your diet, from the mercury that's in your intestines potentially. And when you have chronic inflammation in the intestines, the rest of the body is signaled to shut down glutathione production. Because if it neutralizes a toxin somewhere else in your tissue and circulates it to the liver to get to the bowels in the bile, then that mercury is going to be in the intestines and possibly damage the intestines. So that inflammation has to be gone. That's been proven by the Nestle company. So what we found is that with One World Whey, the world's only raw whey protein powder that's frequency encoded to do all the magical things that it does, when you take that on a regular basis, you're taking a food that is nature's richest source of the peptide called cysteine. Cysteine is the peptide that breaks down into 2 molecules of cysteine inside the cells and converts into glutathione. But the reason that the whey is so important as opposed to taking cysteine or N-acetylcysteine is because cysteine is unique to nature. It just exists in food, and the richest source of it is whey protein. But you want non-denatured whey protein because all the stuff on the market's been heated and denatured. So when you take One World Whey, it's raw, it's non-denatured, you're going to get the full absorption of this particular peptide. It's going to go into the bloodstream and get into the cells and break down into 2 molecules of cysteine, fueling the glutathione production. So we have clients that have told us that their chronic intestinal, like ulcerative colitis, has gone away in 30 days.
My name is Jay. I'm 26 years of age, and I just want to thank the makers of the One World Whey protein powder. After having chronic abdominal pain and pressure for months, I was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis. The medical doctor told me there was nothing I could do to treat it other than taking pain and nausea medication. Then I came across an ad for One World Whey on the radio and read the claims that it can help with all types of inflammation. I took the One World Whey protein powder every day for a month, and the chronic pain and pressure sensations went away completely. And I never took the pain or nausea meds. To this day, my intestines are free of pain.
Just from One World Whey. We've had people call us and tell us that their constipation is cleared up, that they thought they were going to live with that way the rest of their life.
My name is Gary Clark. I'm the actor who's turning 80 in August who played the part of Steve on the 1960s Western TV series, The Virginian. A few months ago, I shared with Synergistic Nutrition customers the extraordinary difference that supplements from this company had made in my life and in the lives of my wife and 2 daughters. And what I shared a few months ago is only part of the story. I neglected to mention how One World Whey protein powder has affected my life. One World Whey solved my irregularity. I'd been plagued with constipation for years, and I thought it would be that way for the rest of my life. 3 weeks on One World Whey set me on a new path. That was 5 months ago, and I haven't been irregular since.
So we know this is positively impacting the GI tract of most people. And when you get that inflammation away, then the rest of the body signals that it's safe to produce intracellular glutathione throughout the rest of the body. It does so more efficiently because of getting rid of the inflammation in the gut, but also because you're fueling the body with the peptide needed from the whey to fuel all the cells' production. So you have glutathione orally, you have glutathione liposomal, and people think that this is going to take care of it, and it's not. You have 37.2 trillion cells in your body, and if you take a teaspoon of liposomal glutathione, you are not going to fill all the cells of your body. You're going to get cells somewhat protected from free radicals. You're going to get a little bit of antioxidant protection. You are not going to significantly detoxify the body. I know, I've done it. I mean, this is just experience and observation with lots of clients. So if you want to really detoxify your body, you want to give yourself One World Whey. The other product that we found is very aggressive at helping release mercury out of the body is called Mercury Magnet. This product you don't want to take by itself though, because it can actually make it come out too quickly and make you sick. But when you have One World Whey in the picture, that's not going to happen because you're supporting your liver and your body's going to be able to keep up with this detox process. Mercury Magnet is kind of like a zeolite supplement. So some people have taken zeolite. Zeolite's a natural mineral that forms as a result of volcanic lava going into the ocean and forming these zeolites that are these molecular cages. And they naturally grab onto and harness a lot of heavy metals. So they can take the zeolites and remove all the heavy metals so that now these naked molecular cages, when they go into the body, they're going to grab onto the mercury. Well, that's kind of what mercury magnet is like. Mercury magnet is peat moss, and peat moss is also a heavy metal concentrator. So they take and they remove all the heavy metals from that peat moss, and it's this cellulose skeleton available to attract heavy metals to itself. It's been very effective. In fact, there's a study that was done on pigs with this particular product, Mercury Magnet, where they gave 4 groups of pigs mercury, like radioactive mercury that they can read in the body. So they poison them with the mercury. Then they give them the Mercury Magnet in 4 different dosages. And the group that got the largest dosage of the Mercury Magnet, the pigs that had the largest dose of Mercury Magnet experienced 87% of the mercury exiting the nervous system or the brain in only 11 days. So that's another study that proves that product's powerful. The other thing you want to support is your liver when you're detoxing, so taking a little more lipoic acid and selenium. So selenium is necessary to support the production of an enzyme that's responsible for creating glutathione. So Liver Shield provides that selenium, it provides lipoic acid and milk thistle extract. So you have a wonderful product to support your liver and its ability to get that mercury out. Mineral Magic is a great product. We also have something called Liquid Min. Either one works. Mineral Magic is a powder. We've had lots of reports of people reversing their gray hair with it. But you need to have metabolic enzymes helping this process of detoxing. And so minerals are needed to make metabolic enzymes. And they're pretty deficient in our food nowadays. So taking a supplemental trace mineral supplement is very important. Pectaclear is the other one. So once you've gotten any mercury or heavy metal out of the tissues and it enters, it has to go through the lymph and then it goes into the blood and then the blood carries it to the kidneys and the bowels, and the liver, and mostly it goes out through the liver. So now it gets into the liver, goes in, becomes part of the bile, and then the bile comes into your intestines when you eat a meal, and that bile is high in mercury or heavy metals or toxins. So those toxins are coming into your small intestines when your meal is exiting your stomach. So you want to have some Pectaclear there, which is modified citrus pectin, at the beginning of the meal. Just take a couple of capsules at the beginning of the meal so that when the food exits the stomach, Pectaclear or modified citrus pectin is the first thing that's going to meet that bile coming into the intestines, which is then going to ensure that it's going to bind up the heavy metals, because modified citrus pectin is like a magnet for metals, so that they don't, when the stool is going through the intestines, you're not going to run the risk of the metals reabsorbing, because that can happen. And the other one is Andreas coriander seed oil. So coriander seed has been studied and shown in test animals to increase their glutathione production by about 30%, or 20 to 30%, depending on the organ they were studying or looking at. And then they also did it with the oil, and when they did it with the seed oil of coriander, they experienced a 100% increase in glutathione production. So you have a wonderful, wonderful oil. They are very therapeutic. Andreas Wecker, who creates these oils, claims that when he added the coriander seed oil to his diet in conjunction with the flaxseed oil that he'd been making for years, that all the remainder of his Crohn's symptoms went away. You can click on a link in this email and see the rest of this mercury detox protocol or heavy metal detox protocol. There are other products you can take if you need them, such as Synergy 1, such as Oxy powder if the bowels are constipated to keep them moving, flavonoid C to help healing. You can take a look and see if you have a need for exploring this. But this is a fantastic heavy metal detox protocol, and if you need it, I encourage you to help yourself feel great again. All right, I thank you for your attention. Blessings and health to you. Bye-bye.